This program brought to you by NAB. We see Australian business.
Coming up on Kochie's Business Builders, how to convince the landlord to drop your lease, great tips for boosting cash flow, and the online gurus from Shoes of Prey challenging bricks and mortar businesses to do the same and win.
Hello and welcome to a brand new series of Kochie's Business Builders. We are determined to pack every episode with great tips that you can use now to make your business more profitable. Let's kick it off with news that you can use in your business. And the recent economic growth figures give you a great insight in how our customers are changing. Despite all of the whinging, consumers in Australia are spending. They're just doing it differently than before. The bottom line is we have to change our businesses to reflect changing customer attitudes and spending patterns. I also read a fascinating report in the Harvard Business Review recently. It found that consumers would prefer a value add of 30% to an existing product than a 30% discount in the price of that product. So during your next sale, give it a go and give us some feedback on how you went. Now, Australian businesses face the most expensive commercial and retail rents in the world. It is a crippling cost to Australian business. But in these tough economic times, it is the ideal opportunity to renegotiate those rents. Here is how to do it.
Just liberated salon owner Libby Deadman recently moved out of a big shopping mall where she'd been for 17 years to her own high street salon. I sent property expert Chris Gray round to find out her tips on how to get the best deal on your lease.
A lot of places now in the high streets are kind of pretty empty, and you set up a new Westfield and all the traffic goes up there. You've actually done the opposite though, and you've actually moved out of the Westfield and then moved more suburban.
I've seen a lot of change from the strip shops, and exactly like you said, when we went into the shopping centre, that was the place to be. Unfortunately, in the centre, we did have a major extension to the centre, and this is what people have to be aware of. You don't have control over where that may take you in your business when you sign a lease. So we had a lot of passing traffic that had actually deteriorated, because we were doing something like 100 clients a week just walking up the desk and purchasing retail. And with the change of the centre, the dynamics and the traffic flow, it went down to 30. Now that's a big hit to take, and that was over about a 12-month period.
Now, when it comes to negotiating leases, obviously to try and deal with, say, probably a mum and dad owner that owns something like this store versus a Westfield, how easy is it to negotiate?
With the internet these days, look, you can have a look at what you should be paying. You can do anything, you can find out any information. But when you're face to face with someone and they've got a budget and a target, you don't know what they have to, or what their, I suppose, the little kitty down here can give you as far as a contribution to a fit out or how much rent-free period. So you know that a valuable tenant, okay, someone that is a mum and dad, they've got to be able to spend money to make the place look good. So if you're a landlord, you don't want to be taking every dollar from them, but they don't quite often know how to ask. So that's why I still seek the experience of other people that work with leases all the time first, and then get a solicitor to look at everything. Always read all the fine print.
Because it's not like residential leases that generally it's a standard lease. As a business, they can put anything in the lease, can't they? And so there's no such thing as a standard contract, so get it all checked.
They love hairdressing salons, landlords, because normally we're in business for a long time, so you can get a longer lease. And in order to get a longer lease, they know they're guaranteed to get that money. Therefore, there's a bit of flexibility in perhaps if you've got to do a fit out, you might want a rent-free period. So you could say, well, look, I've got to fit out. I need to put some money into marketing to get the people here. Like when we moved, we got first 3 months rent-free. And then I know businesses now that are getting 6 months rent-free and even 12 months rent-free. Reason why is they've got to fit the salon out or the business out. It doesn't have to be a salon. And then when there's empty shops next door, you're a draw card for other tenants to come into that business, to those shopping centres.
One of the main things with negotiating leases, though, is quite often is to try and have the rent as standard. That's what the landlords always want, because that's how the banks are always going to value their investment. So suddenly, if they discount the rent by 20% and you save 10 or 20 grand a year, that actually devalues their property by maybe millions of dollars. So quite often, some of the best ways to negotiate is to get those rent-free periods, because it doesn't really affect the value of their investment.
Yes.
So that's very good things to do.
Libby also had some fantastic tips on how to transition your customers from one shop to the other. We didn't have time to put it in this episode, but go to the website after the show and have a look. You won't be disappointed.
Up next on Business Builders, how to get that cash flow under control, and later, great tips from the online gurus at Shoes of Pro. What's the old saying? Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is king. I want you to meet James and Nick. They run a terrific business importing tequila from Mexico to Australia. Business is good, growth is good, cash flow is awful, and it's really affecting their business. So we sent our finance expert, Julia Bickerstaff, in to lend a hand.
It must have still cost a lot to set this business up in the first place. How did you fund it?
Essentially, it was a crowdfunding exercise. So there was about probably a dozen investors contributing small amounts of capital to kick us off.
So how long does the first bit take? How long does it take to actually fill the bottle?
Really, once the agave is cut out of the ground, the process is quite speedy. Yeah.
For the Blanco, which is the unaged
Yeah,
tequila.
for the Blanco tequilas.
So it goes onto the ship, lands at the port, and then it goes into a bonded warehouse, which is just a warehouse that's got a special licence from the government to be essentially a tax-free zone.
And how much does a bottle retail at? So what percentage of what you get is?
It retails for about $60, and by the time it gets into the consumer's hand, or the drinker's hand, it's about $28 in taxes between GST, excise tax and import duty. So you've got to chop that last $32 up into quite a few pieces before it actually gets into someone's hand.
So how many months are you roughly sort of funding a bottle of tequila for then?
Our aim for our first shipment was to get rid of our first container in a year, which we did. So we're talking about that last bottle we sold, we paid for it over 12 months before we actually got it.
And so how are you managing the cash at the moment?
When we take a pallet out of tequila, that's about $15,000 in excise tax. So you've got to pay that to customs before they let you take it out of the warehouse. You then deliver it to the wholesaler, who will then sell it to the bars. But they don't pay you, depending on the wholesaler, anywhere between sort of 30 to 90 days.
So you've got 90 days, let's say, when you've had to finance that 15,000,
Yep.
plus the tequila
Plus
in
the
the
bottle.
bottle and the bottle itself.
Plus your sales,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
tequila.
And so how have you?
consultants.
And so do you have a bank loan, or do you?
We had an overdraft, and that sort of helped for a little bit.
How have the banks been with you about funding this?
We've got more runs on the board now than when we were granted our facility from the bank, and they've become less and less supportive as it's gone on. It's actually pretty disappointing.
Have you gone around to different banks?
We're just about to change because we're changing to a debtor finance facility.
How did you come across the debtor finance facility, and how does it work for you?
What debtor financing does is they will lend you money against your invoices. So on that, we'll pay the $15,000 in taxes, and then we'll give it to the wholesaler. We'll give them an invoice for $30,000, and then the debtor financer will forward us 80% of that money the next day, and then they'll pay us the last 20% when the invoice is actually paid.
As you grow, that cash flow hole is going to get bigger.
Yeah.
Because the more you sell, the bigger the hole gets.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
often what people don't realise. They think it's going to get better when you sell more, but actually it doesn't.
No.
So something like debtor finance is going to really work for you because it works to the fact that you are growing. Whereas if you had a loan, the loan isn't going to grow with
Goes
the
up to the
growth
top,
of the business.
Absolutely.
stays at the top.
That's
If
right.
the Maryvale group here in Sydney called me up and said we want to order a container of your tequila, which I hope they do at some point, we'd have to turn around and okay, that's awesome. How the hell are we going to get the money to get it out of bond? It's
And this obviously doesn't solve all the problems because you get the money a couple of days after you pay the taxes. not before you pay, because you have to actually give them the stock and give them an invoice, and you can't get the stock out until you pay the taxes. But it does.
So that's where you could have, though, if you had a facility and explained that to a bank that listened, that actually you need this facility, it's a 2 or 3 day facility and you need it every 3 months or however often it is that you'd need it, there's no risk to them. And I think sometimes it's just presenting it to them in that way so that they understand it, because, for you, this is how your business works. But for them, they don't understand how your business works.
Imagine a business like that. They pay $15,000 in tax for each pallet of tequila, and it could be 12 months before they get anything for it. It's just incredible.
Coming up, 3 Aussie entrepreneurs wowing the online world with customised shoes and glasses. Plus, we answer your burning business questions.
This business tip brought to you by NAB. We see Australian business.
If you offer credit sales in your business, then collecting debts is critical. Here are our best tips for avoiding cash flow problems and for collecting debts successfully. A monthly profit and loss and cash flow analysis is vital to understanding your business's true debt position. Train and reward your staff for collecting payments on time. Develop a plan for overdue invoices considering the customer's situation and your relationship with them. Make it easy for customers to pay on time with multiple payment methods such as EFTPOS, BPay, online or phone payments. Consider giving discounts to customers for early payments. Always be consistent in your actions so you don't send mixed messages. Managing finances online will help you reduce administration and simplify payments. You need a system that will alert you early to overdue debts. And finally, talk to your banker. Talking to your business banker can help you get through a cash flow squeeze.
Visit nab.com.au/small business for more information.
Our entrepreneur in the spotlight this week is the team at Shoes of Prey. Michael, Jody and Mike are wowing the online world and recently raised $30 million from American investors to take their business global. This is how they're building their success.
This entrepreneurial trio met when they were studying law and years later came up with a great idea to start an online retail business selling customised women's shoes and glasses.
Jody, a lot of people used to say online would never work in fashion because you could never replicate the experience online. So how did you break through that?
Well, I think that that's actually the source of a lot of innovation that we're creating here at Shoes of Prey, where you can receive the shoe and try it on, and if for some reason that hasn't worked out for you, you can return it to us unworn within 365 days.
What are the practical challenges of doing shoes online?
Well, the first challenge was just how to actually represent a shoe on the screen so that people could change it. There were lots of trips to Hong Kong where we'd be sitting in a workshop looking at these shoes, trying to figure out how we put this onto the screen and how do we make it so you can change the toe to what you want.
Michael, the pressure it puts on suppliers in China, how critical is that?
They're used to mass producing shoes, so getting an order from a retailer in Australia for 5,000 or 10,000 pairs of the same red patent leather shoe, whereas we wanted to order shoes one at a time. So that was something very different for our suppliers over there.
Michael, how did you then extend into glasses?
Traditionally, we'd all bought glasses in Australia, where you go to OPSM or one of the other big retailers, and you might spend $500 or $600 to get a nice pair of fashionable frames with your lenses, with all the coatings and everything that you need. But in China, we were buying glasses at sort of a tenth that price in retail stores. So we ended up buying sort of 10, 15 pairs each, and we started accessorising with our glasses. So getting our purple glasses to match our purple jacket lining and all sorts of different things like that. So we thought, yeah, well, why don't we bring this concept to Australia? So we decided to set up an online retailer with the goal of disrupting the glasses industry and turning glasses into a fashion accessory.
Michael, it's been extraordinarily successful, Shoes of Prey. Sneaking Duck is disruptive in a new industry, early days. Building the business to be attractive to investors, to continue to expand. Have you followed a particular strategy on that?
The first year was really about proving the concept, working out whether women actually wanted to design their own shoes and order them online. And the next stage in the life of the business was working out how do we scale the business. So how do we grow from the 10 pairs of shoes a day that we were doing back then to selling thousands of pairs of shoes a day and becoming a large global retailer. So we spent probably 12 months trying to understand how we scale the business. So how do we improve the technology on the website so that it's more photorealistic, and how do we acquire customers and run all of the marketing of the business. It was at that point that we could take all of this to investors and say, here's the concept, here's the plan. All we need now is money, and we should be able to do this. And so
Did you just want money?
We probably started out sort of thinking, well, over the next couple of years, what do we need? We felt like we had a reasonable plan in place, and maybe it was just money that we needed. But as we went through the process of talking to different investors, we realised pretty quickly that having people who'd grown businesses very successfully before to help mentor and coach us would be a really positive thing.
Well, guys, thank you for your time. It's not a challenge, it's a real opportunity for most people. And I suppose the bottom line from you guys is just think outside the square. Do what you do best.
We just wanted to... We love your glasses, but we thought you might enjoy.
Fabulous. Oh, thank you for that. They're amazing, aren't they? And they're taking their business into bricks and mortar stores. The message is, don't whinge about online competitors, join them. Bricks and mortar businesses are a great combination with online. Now, they had so many more great tips of getting online, we just couldn't fit them in today's show. Go to the website, it's all there. And of course, if you want to get your business online, you need the Business Builders Web in a Box, a great do-it-yourself program to build a professional website, and it's great value. After the break, the Business Builders Hotline, where we answer your burning questions.
It's Tech Tip time. This week, how to choose the right smartphone for your business.
So what makes a smartphone so smart? The way I think of it is, it takes your entire office and puts it into your pocket. The great thing about smartphones is that they integrate with your office's computer systems. So whether you're running Windows or Mac, smartphones can access the same mail and calendar data that you run on these systems. Smartphones come in a lot of different shapes and sizes, and each one is defined by the operating system or software that runs on it. There's software from Apple, there's software from Google called Android, and there are smartphones with software from Windows called Windows Phone. The best thing to do is to try a smartphone before you buy, so be sure to go into your local telephone store and try a few models out. Speak to the staff and tell them about your business needs, such as the types of computers you run in your office. There's some great business plans on offer, so be sure to talk and ask and try before you buy.
Now, here at Business Builders, we receive lots of questions from all of you through the website, Facebook and Twitter. We can't solve everybody's problems, but hopefully we can point you in the right direction. So Trinda writes to us on Facebook saying, I'm an independent retailer. The last 12 months has been pretty tough and I've seen lots of retailers go broke. What's your view on the next 12 months in retail? Well, Trinda, it's very much going to be what it's been like over the last 12 months. It's not going to get any easier. Consumers are staying in their bunker. They're scared to spend. They're concerned about what's happening overseas in Europe, the United States and Japan. The secret to success in retail, even during slow times, is number one, tell customers your story. Number two, have a product range that is unique, that has items in there that can't be compared with competitors on price. That way, you're more likely to maintain price and also margins. Our second question comes from Lucy, who says, I own a homeware store and I want to buy more product from overseas to make it unique. Lucy, great idea. The way you do that is to take advantage of some of the trade shows overseas. My eldest daughter, for example, lives in Vietnam. It's become the furniture manufacturing capital of Asia, and they have huge trade shows. Go to things like that for furniture. Hong Kong is the same for homewares. Also, Indonesia and Malaysia are the same. I would tap in to the Retailers Association to get a list of those trade shows overseas. So give them a call. And finally, John has an invention which he wants to take overseas to develop, and wondering whether there are any government grants to help out. John, your first port of call is the government's business website, business.gov.au. It has all the grants on offer for different businesses, ideas, and also industries. Also give Austrade a call. They're the department that helps trade overseas and take Australian companies overseas, so they have some terrific programs too. Keep the questions coming. We'll do more next week. Also, don't forget you have the chance to access our Business Builders experts through the Business Builders coaching service online. Go to the website to tap into that, and it will give you all the details of how to make an appointment, and also the hourly cost of each of our experts who are involved. So you make the choice. I'll catch you next time.
On the next Business Builders, 6 foolproof ways to get your customers to pay on time, how to build your brand to maximise sales, and the Aussie manufacturing success story.